Hello there, internet watchers. We're playing the Sonic World portion of Sonic Jam, which, for those who don't know, this was like a proof of concept, prototype, what have you, for what would eventually become Sonic Adventure, and kind of a proposal, a what-if, for a Saturn 3D Sonic. Which plays, in my opinion, extremely well, and I would love to have seen this fully realized. I know this will probably piss somebody off, but I think this plays better than Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast. But anyway, I had intended to play this in the more traditional Let's Play style, with me on camera. But, I'm not feeling well, and I look like hell, and I didn't want to be on camera, so... I decided to just talk over the gameplay here. Especially, during these parts where I'm just having fun, goofing around in Sonic World. Doing the little mini missions for the first time. I'd only done the 20 ring one, so I wanted to see, you know, while I had it on camera, like, just how many little mini missions there were. And gives a good chance to show off as much of this cute little hub world as we can. Yeah, I'm also playing with the Saturn 3D control pad. And it supports the analog controls, and it feels fantastic. Like, I mean, it's a little bit on the slow side, you know, compared to either 2D Sonic or Sonic Adventure, but honestly, I would take this. The smoothness of the controls and the physics feel really good, and I love the way the graphics are rendered here. It's just, there's so many what-ifs with the Saturn, you know, it's just a shame that this could not have been fully realized. Might not have been enough to save the Saturn's fortunes in the West, but it certainly would have helped. I know I would have bought a Saturn just to play a full-fledged version of this. So really the only thing that's wonky is the camera. Like, you can freely rotate it around with the triggers. Or the shift buttons if you're using the standard Saturn pad. But the camera kind of does this, like, automatic adjustment based on... I think it's based on the terrain. Like, I think there's something about how it's programmed to try to give you a more optimal view, but it doesn't quite work out. Because there's moments where you just want to have the camera closer to the ground and be able to see a bit more over Sonic's head, whereas this tends to get stuck where you're seeing more of the ground, and instead of more of what Sonic would be seeing, so. But other than that, I actually think the camera works pretty well. Like, it's a little less fussy than, say, like Mario 64's camera in that respect. But of course, also, naturally, because I'm recording, I end up having a hard time finding Tails. Like, you can hear him flying around, but you know, naturally, because this is on film, it takes me a little longer to actually find him. Like, it's something I've repeated multiple times in different videos, but I think it bears repeating. It's like, if you've never done live streams or filmed Let's Plays or anything like that, like, there's just something about when as soon as you hit record or hit start broadcast, like, things happen in the game that don't normally happen when you're just playing for fun, and there's nobody else watching, so. But, yeah, just to, not to harp on the point too badly, because I don't want to be a downer, yeah, working food service at this time of year is soul-crushing. And, I feel like my soul was ripped out and trampled on, or hit by a train, from work today, and, you know, I'm clearly not cut out for what I do. Like, it's a living hell. And, you know, of course, there's the people out there who'll say, well, just find a better job, or something you like more, or something that pays better, because, you know, I get paid peanuts. But, you know, that's not so easy. Especially for someone like me who, like, basically, as soon as someone gets wind that you don't fit the norms, especially if they get a whiff of, your sexual orientation or anything even remotely close to that is different from normal, you find that job opportunities all of a sudden dry up pretty quickly. But anyway, not to make the video about that, it's just to explain why I feel terrible, and that I'm not in a very Christmassy mood, but I'm trying. And I did get very emotional, while recording the raw footage, so maybe it's also not the best thing in the world, for me to have appeared on camera. I'm very free with my feelings, and Sonic is one of those things, like, at least 90s Sonic. I can't really speak for 21st century Sonic, but it really connects me to, what do you want to call it? I guess some people call it inner child. Maybe, like, my child entity. It, especially the music, which we're gonna hear when we start going into the galleries, really just... It just does something to me, y'all. Alright, so... going to the character house. I'm gonna turn the music up a little bit here. Yeah, it just gets me. So this is the first of the collections of bonus material. It's some really cool concept art. Sketches, whatever you want to call it. And some of these drawings remind me, like, almost one-for-one of panels from the, early issues of the Archie Sonic comics, which I used to collect. I still have a few of them. So I can definitely see... It also depended on the artist, but I can definitely see... especially Spaz, I forget his full name, but, like, usually did the really high detailed drawings, and I can see where the, these stills were referenced. Aw, that's our best bud, Tails. He's so cute. But I hope, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that you're you know, whether you really, like, either from a religious or spiritual perspective, or just out of tradition, like how much you're into Christmas and other holidays that take place around this time. You know, regardless of all that, I hope you're safe, and even if you're not out having fun, that you're at least in a peaceful place, and that watching this can help with that, either out of nostalgia, or if this is new stuff to you, that maybe it still kind of connects you to a positive place. I know, my spirits are typically lifted just being here in Sonic World, and just looking at all this beautiful artwork, and enjoying the music. You know, if I had realized all of this stuff was on Sonic Jam, I don't know if that would have been enough to get me to buy a Saturn, but it definitely would have been more ammunition. Because, I saw Sonic Jam, like, at Best Buy, when it was new at retail, and I don't know, for some reason, it went over my head that there was extra bonus material. I just thought it was more of a basic compilation of Sonic 1 through Sonic and Knuckles, and I was like, well, I already have all these on Genesis, and, you know, it's kind of a hard sell to get me to buy a Saturn just for these. You know, maybe if it also had some of these games that we're seeing here on the little history of Sonic's releases. Like if it had some Game Gear and Master System games, or if we had maybe gotten a proper port of something like Sega Sonic the Arcade, or Sonic the Fighters, which would have made it for a great Saturn game, or, you know, something to make it more enticing. But, you know, this is what it is, and I think it's a great collection, and I really do enjoy all of this kind of virtual memorabilia, if you will, and I do really enjoy this kind of time capsule of Sega and Sonic history at this point. In the 90s, honestly, this is going to sound kind of maybe abrasive or judgmental, who can say, but if you weren't there, and then if you're not willing to, like, if you weren't there and you're not willing to immerse yourself in the actual history and can try to understand what it was like, then you really have no idea. That's why I get kind of frustrated when people are quick to slag off Sega today. It's like, you know, you don't have to like them, you don't have to like their games, you don't have to like Sonic. And, you know, and Sega, since 2004, has not even been Sega. It's Sega Sammy Holdings. Like, they're not the same company that we loved in the 90s. Or that had the great, you know, arcade pedigree coming from the 70s and 80s into the 90s. So I get it, but, like, just the lack of respect for what Sega meant to the industry, if you will, and the gaming community at large, and Sonic himself, like, again, you know, you don't have to like him, but his attitude was legit in the 90s, like, and, you know, he was the face of Sega, and, like, you know, were there too many Sonic games? You know, was he pushed into the media too much? Probably. You know, probably a little overdone, but, you know, Sega had struggled for a while to find a mascot and find, like, you know, a great representation of its brand and identity, and they finally found it with Sonic, so it's like, you know, in a way, it's like making up for lost time. But it also kind of makes me scratch my head, where, You know, Sonic is, of course, massively more popular in the Americas and Europe than in Japan, even though he was created in Japan. I've found it a little odd that Sega in Japan almost feels like they're a bit resentful, like even in the 90s of Sonic. You know, I get it, like, you know, if that culture just does not resonate as much with the character as in other areas, you know, it's understandable, you know. But it's like, y'all, you finally found your mascot. You finally found your your ideal representation. You know, you've got your equivalent to Mario. Like, you know, maybe treat that with a little more respect. You know, especially when you're launching a brand new platform that you want people to invest in, and that's more expensive than the PlayStation and less of a sure deal as far as, you know, what IPs are going to be available, you know, versus something like the N64. So, I don't know, but again, I think you had to be there, I guess. Either that or just being open to, like, trying to understand the perspective of what it was like in the 90s. You know, I don't really understand Sonic, and I certainly don't understand the Sonic fandom after the Dreamcast days. Based on some things I've seen, I don't know that I even want to. There's a lot of toxicity, among other things, but I'm content to just say that I'm a fan of Sonic from the 90s, and then, you know, if something in the 21st century is compelling enough to pique my interest, you know, I'll check it out. Like, and we're kind of getting into the weeds here of you know, multiverse stuff, and it's something I'm running into with other fandoms too, where it's kind of like, you know, it's okay, I guess, for there to be, like, what do you want to say, a multiverse, or just, you know, there's, like, in the case of Sonic, let's say, like, oh, there's just, you know, 2, 3, 4, or whatever different Sonic universes, and, you know, there's a lot of similarities, but, you know, they each have their own take on the character, and I'm like, well, you know, I guess that's fine. But for me, this is Sonic, and, like, who and what the character has become in more recent years, I don't really understand, and I don't really resonate with or look up to that character as much. Especially as a kid, like, you know, to me, Sonic was a hero. And this artwork here, it just really... it really pulls on my heart. It's so representative, not just of the character, but, you know, of Sega, and kind of where the industry was at. You know, it's... you know, Sega was targeting an older crowd than what Nintendo was, for the most part. You know, with the Genesis, Sega of America went after the kids that had grown up on NES, and they were getting a little older and heading toward teenage years, and of course, you know, the video game industry certainly already had its share of greed and, you know, dirty dealings behind the scenes and corruption, and, you know, people in it just for the money and not for the art or for a love of the hobby and the community. But there was more of an innocence about it. There was less of that stuff. It was driven more heavily by the artists, the creators, you know, the engineers and programmers and developers. And you got a sense that even a lot of the top dogs at least had more of an appreciation for what was going on, even if their ulterior motive, above all else, was to make a profit. Yeah, I love these two. Like, their friendship is so pure. Like, I love Mario and Luigi as brothers. I think it's very wholesome and cute, but I think Sonic and Tails, especially from this era, like, are some of the best buds. And just the artwork itself is just fantastic, isn't it? We were decades before this generative AI slop started stealing everyone's art and allowing non-creative shills to pass themselves off as artists. Oh, look, it's an old school cellular telephone Sonic has. It's so hip. Gosh, how freaking adorable is all of this? Come on, come on. It's a Sega mall. I want to go to a Sega mall. Or a Sonic concert. And that's more of what we needed, like, Sonic on Saturn. Like, even if Japan didn't really need that push, you know, because Virtua Fighter was all the rage there, and, you know, the Saturn was doing pretty well with the Japanese audience, with the library it already had, so... But at least in the West, I mean... Like, you needed your company mascot to, like... to sell it, basically. So many baffling decisions made there. So I'm gonna shut up a little more and turn the volume up just a scotch. So y'all can enjoy the movies.
In heaven, stay alive. Now shoot with me. We're going to have fun. Say, lights off. Excalibur. It's about that bar. What do you mean? Give it, take. Going home. Side zone. Check it out, eh? You live alone. Leather legs. Getting in place. What do you get? Say, back jet. Zoom room. Cosmic zoom. That's up, Jay. It's Sonic Boom. The Sonic Warrior. The Sonic Warrior. You always need a day. You got the place to go, nothing to do. If you gotta do something, you gotta do something. Believe in yourself, yourself, yourself. Hey!
Extraordinary things can happen if you believe in yourself. You got to have the faith in yourself if you want respect from your friends.
Don't rearrange, no need to change. Stay like you are. Keep it all the same. But as you move along in your life, keep an open mind. And don't forget that if you gotta do something, believe in yourself, yourself, yourself.
Extraordinary things can happen if you believe in yourself. You got to have the faith in yourself if you want respect from your friends.
When you feel tight, look at yourself.
Inside your heart, you will find a special place to align.
When you feel right, look at yourself.
Inside your mind, you see connected eternity.
突如破壊神ブラックエッグマンと名乗るどこの馬の骨ともわからんやつがロボット軍勢を率いてエッグマンランドに攻め込んできたのじゃ。
おいおい、みんなが君を随分と待っていたぞ。ビュンビュンハリネズミ、ほら来た、ソニック登場。この面白さったらもう目が離せやしない。カットビアクションゲームソニック・ザ・ヘッジホッグメガドライブから。
アメリカで大活躍のスーパーハリネズミが日本でも大暴れ。その名はセガソニック・ザ・ヘッジホーグ。メガドライブで待ってるぜ。セガ
あのソニックが新しい仲間テイルスを連れて帰ってきた。前作を超えたスケールとアクションで息もつかせぬ面白さ。超ハラハラ超ドキドキの超音速アクションソニック・ザ・ヘッジホッグ2 Welcome to Sonic Land メガドライブから世界へ向けて。
ソニックツクイズ。問題です。ソニックのそばを駆け抜けていったのは誰でしょう。答えはお近くのお店にあるよ。
ソニック・ザ・ヘッジホッグ2メガドライブから。
体が踊る絶叫体験を君に約束する。超音速アクションは止まらない。
Non-stop power play Sonic the Hedgehog 3 from Mega Drive。
ソニックが超音速で弾け飛ぶピンボールゲームに挑戦だ。アメリカ生まれのファンキーアクションソニックスピンボールメガドライブからソニックビンゴプレゼント実施中。
メガ CD。
究極兵器メタルソニック。最速にして最強のライバル出現がソニックを熱く過激にする。過去へ未来へ超音速アクションは時空をも超えた。
Sonic the Hedgehog CD from Mega CD。
ソニックとテイルスがゲームギアで大暴れ。手のひらサイズの超音速アクションソニック&テイルスプラス1がお買い得。 ソニックとテイルズがまたまたゲームギアで大暴れ。ドクターエッグマン、ラックルズ、そして新キャラファング、盛りだくさんで最新作ソニック&テイルズ2。
ペーサーになったソニックのライバルはテイルス、エミー、ドクターエッグマン。こりゃ負けられませんよ。手のひらサイズのカーレースソニックドリフト、ゲームギアから。
Weren't those commercials brilliant? It's like having those in my collection is like worth the price of admission along with everything else. So I'm just showing you real quick what the music shop looks like. It's just basically a giant sound test for everything on the disc. This video would be extremely long if I gave every single song the respect and time I believe that they're due. So, thank you for watching. I hope you found that fun and an enjoyable little Xmas Prezi, however small that might be. Again, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see ya in 2025.